All right, so this week I stumbled upon the very surprising news that Tulsi Gabbard quitting the Democratic Party, claiming that the Dems are a bunch of elitist cabal warmongers, an elitist cabal of warmongers. Excuse me.
Warmongers?
Yeah. Very surprising. Very surprising. Never
Yeah.
saw it. I thought she
You never saw it coming?
Hey man, she was a big Bernie supporter back in the day, but hey, well, we know how the Dems have done Bernie dirty, right?
Yeah.
But no, I say that biggest shocker because I feel like anyone who's been paying attention has seen this coming from a mile away. I remember it was really illuminated back in what was that? 2020? Shoot, I don't even remember.
2019.
2019. Yeah, man.
Long time.
Man, the past couple of years have just been a blur, right? But
Yeah.
2019, where she simply voted present during the first articles of impeachment brought upon Trump. So for me, that was like, what a weak sauce stance, man. Just zero backbone.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that was a big clue. But in seeing this news, I was like, nah. There's been so many things that to me are actually showing that, I don't know, some people will say she's a lone wolf in many regards, and I think that that's part of like maybe her rise in her political, reputation and fame, so to speak. Maybe she started as that, but I just feel like over time I've been seeing her sort of lean more on the right and more conservative. So here she's supporting DeSantis's "Don't Say Gay" bill. Right, and she goes as far to say that since it was only implemented for kindergarten through third grade, that the banning of sexual orientation and gender identity discussions, she was like, well, why not extend it through 12th grade, and why not just ban it altogether? And for me, it's like, what? She doesn't even want people to discuss those types of things even at the collegiate level? Like, that is baddie. That is bad. I mean, so maybe she's a lone wolf in that. She's the baddest bat that I've ever seen bat. She's
the baddest bat
that
you've
I've
ever seen bat?
the baddest bat that ever batted. You know what I mean? Because that is just wild. So again, more recently, now something that I also want to point out is that I feel like she's kind of like a Russian apologist, and sort of a weird, covert spokesperson, saying stuff like that it's Biden and NATO's fault for Russia starting the war in Ukraine. Like, for me, that feels like such a fatty Russian talking point, like a Kremlin talking point. And here in the tweet we see Russia has legitimate security concerns. Like, what security concerns? That Ukraine and if they were to join NATO, they're all of a sudden gonna try to bully Russia. I mean, if anything, it's just because Russia doesn't like now that they have like those extra eyes on them. Even closer set of NATO eyes. Although there's already some pretty close NATO country. Like Estonia is, I believe, one of them, and that nearby all this action stuff. Of course, Ukraine is it's a different thing. I get it, but still, for me, that
you don't know about Estonia.
I do know that because. That's a talking point that people bring up about, hey, Russia doesn't want a NATO so close. It's like they're already fairly close. They're already pretty darn close. I mean,
no, that's not what it was about at all. They wanted their oil. They want land. They want their crops. That's what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it's just funny that again seems like Gabbard is not even like saying that she's quitting the Dems is putting it as lightly as possible. I mean, I feel like she's a full-on, Russian asset. I don't know, that feels extreme, but
I don't know about that.
I don't know. It feels extreme.
I
but
don't know about
how
that.
about this? If it were to be revealed beyond a questionable doubt or uncertain doubt, I don't know the phrase. There is without question proven that she does have ties, financial ties, and so as a result, political or a commitment to politically back Russia. I wouldn't be surprised. That's all I'm saying. But so continuing on, here we had a speech where kind of again hating on the
Europe
the
is
Biden
in a massive
sanctions.
energy crisis right now, with the price of electricity in France
Let's check this out.
hitting record highs. Their government is ordering businesses to cut back on the use of illuminated signs and advertising. In Berlin, Germany, they're turning off non-essential traffic lights.
All this stuff happening in the EU. Okay.
Millions could be without heat this winter. In Spain, it's now illegal in some
Okay,
places
yeah, more
to put
hardship,
your
yeah.
AC below 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The UK is bracing for wide-scale
Yeah, I
blackouts
remember
this
that.
winter. Why is all this
Historically
happening?
high heat
Because
wave.
of Joe Biden's sanctions that are
See,
nothing
for
short
me,
of a
Yeah,
modern-day
see, that's
Mo-
where
siege.
you
like,
can't. It's like
Well,
it's
this-
such a big jump where
yeah, I
it's
just
like you just like where it's like I've heard her talk like for a long periods of time and not on where she's talking about like she's against like their industrial shit and like all this stuff. It just sounds like she's trying to cater to a certain type of person that's like outside.
yeah, yeah. It
If-
just the amount of nuance that this like
Mhm.
statement lacks for me is
Oh, I
just
see
like
what you're saying.
it's just so it's baffling, you know. And then not only that, you know, if I'm not mistaken, you know, the U.S. is not the only country that's sort of imposing sanctions on Russia. And so for me, again, this is just a very disingenuous stance, and it just lacks a lot of nuance. I mean, and even, you know, kind of trying to read and stuff from even as early as February 2022 that you know, Biden was already kind of acknowledging, yeah, you know, imposing sanctions, it's gonna
Yeah.
hurt, it's gonna be painful. I'm gonna do my best to mitigate its impact on us and other countries, and even the Russian civilians themselves, right? And it's tricky to do, but I know that a part of it was sort of carving out a way to pretty much have sanctions impact the Russian, you know, Russian economy and trade, but having a carve out for energy, so like natural gas and all the energy export that Russia sort of engages with throughout the world, that's going to be the way that we're not going to get hurt, you know, and sorry, oil and natural gas, right? We're not going to be getting hurt from these sanctions, but we still want to let Russia know that what they did in starting this conflict with Ukraine, that's not okay, and there's consequences, you know, even if they do involve some hardship on others. It's a tough thing to say, you know what? I'm glad I'm not in politics, but
Oh,
for
yeah.
me, you know, it just again shows that she lacks nuance, and seemingly so in a way that seems to benefit one side, and it does seem like it's the pro Russian side. And we see in this Forbes article that Tulsi Gabbard's biggest political donor is a Putin apologist, someone that's been proactively trying that runs a nonprofit that's aiming to create just like a amicable relationship between the U.S. and Russia.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, that just seems so. It just seems so blind to the historical, you know, to the history between these two nations. And
Mhm.
you know, Russia is just you know, very very much not a fan of the westernization of all parts of the world, but especially the parts that are close to them.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, Russia, you know, I mean, we really see Putin taking it on, leading it like a dictatorship. Ever since the war, you know, people can be tossed in jail, you know, just for posting social media footage or anything, right? That speaks disapproval or that the government finds false,
Yeah.
and stuff like that is just crazy. I mean, you know, people say, "Oh, Biden's an authoritarian." Actually, Gabbard is one that has said Biden's an authoritarian. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that you know, speaking so hyperbolically, man, that just feels it just feels like you're doing such a disservice to the political discourse here in the U.S. and all of its international implications and outreach, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is good riddance. We ain't gonna miss you. I wonder what she's gonna do next. You know, again, kind of maybe does she try to go back in this lone wolf vibe where instead of joining the Repubs, she tries to, you know, join, and maybe she's an independent, or maybe she does something wild, you know, maybe because of her vegan roots, she joins the Green Party.
Yeah.
Or maybe she just you were saying maybe she does like a public speaking
Yeah.
thing,
Public
right?
speaking talk. I don't know.
Well, she was on one recently, right?
Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, Joe
Mhm.
Rogan, yeah. And I think that let's check that one out really quick. That I guess that she was making comment about
That wasn't the one today.
Oh, that wasn't the one today? Oh,
I don't
okay.
think so.
Okay, well, she said it in the past, right? So, oh yeah. Okay,
where
this one's from a year prior, and
for
The
Congress
general
like
Yeah.
high school.
experience.
Side
Yeah.
of the room with those people. What's wrong with you? Yeah,
Like
man.
Game of Thrones, man.
I mean, it's funny, but it's so
Game of Thrones without the
terrible
death.
when you understand that this is the power base for decision making in our
Oh.
country.
So our
And you're like,
congressmen and
how is
women
this
are
even
nothing
possible?
but
It's
mere
possible
humans.
because so often people will vote for a candidate because like they have a really cool ad on TV or like yeah that person is a good looking guy or
It's just a weird. It's a. I mean, and I think she's making a great point. It's just interesting because I feel like part of her own people's perception of her is sort of it does sort of build off that in that they maybe they heard sort of snippets of like her stances on things. I mean, she's had a long political career at this point, and I
Yeah.
feel that though that maybe people have latched onto a snippet of like a stance that she's had, whether in the past or I mean
I think
she-
people like that she's a veteran.
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, there's certain things that maybe she's done or part of her social identities or things that she's done or said in the past that allow her to win in people's hearts.
Mhm.
But she's had a long history and I feel like there's it's important to really parse through all of it and be critical.
Oh, yeah.
Of what merits being critical and saying, hey, that's kind of a weird take. So some of the ones that we just brought up, for me, and there's a lot of them are pretty recent. So I don't know. I don't see the appeal, at least not at this time. And I guess again we'll see what happens. Curious about the path she'll take, but for now, hey, at least we get to be reminded of some of her track record, and may we continue to be critical whenever we can moving forward. I mean, we do our best, right, Creamsicle?
Yeah.
And thank you, folks, for watching. We'll see you soon.